So we all stop because we're right by the door. We're right by the breach. So we all stop, and my team leader behind me at the time, cool as cucumber, wicked dude, kind of whispers in my ear, "Way to go, you idiot." I'm like, I can't believe it just happened.
This video is brought to you by Ice Warrior Tactical, Carcajou Tactical, and Grey Fox Strategic. For 10% off your next purchase with Grey Fox Strategic or Carcajou Tactical, use code DA10. Awesome. So when you come back home, you like debrief everything. At this time, Afghanistan's been going on for a pretty decent amount of time at this point. Mm-hmm. Are there any like open changes about tactics and everything, given there are a lot of books out there how Afghanistan shaped modern tactics for CQB and how you're approaching targets and things like that? Were you hearing that prior to your first deployment?
Yep, for sure. So get back in 2006 from Lebanon, and then 2008 was overseas for first combat deployment with the unit. So super excited about that, and leading up to it, for sure, the guys that were on the ground were constantly given feedback on changing TTPs and certain methods of approach or entry were being modified and adapted modernly, consistently. So not major changes, but minor enough to get your attention and minor enough to be important. So that was consistent, going on for years. That went on. So my first deployment in 2008 with the unit, first operation was awesome. Like, I took pretty good notes, but not all. I tried to capture wave tops of each operation that I was part of, like who was on it, what did we do, who were we going after, little things like that I knew I would forget about and kind of lose along the way. So I took pretty good notes, but to be honestly, like, some of the missions just totally forgot about, didn't capture. But my first one I won't forget, because it was a compound of interest with known shitheads on the inside. So it was expected that there's probably two, what they refer to as medium or high value targets on the inside. Two, also responsible for homemade explosive device materials. So what we assumed with the information that we had is this particular compound, no HME, but these two douchebags would be there. And it was kind of a fortified steel door on the outside to the inside of the compound, and making the analytical deduction that no HME on the inside, but two probably armed shitheads on the inside. We approached at like 3 a.m, and we decided to use explosive force entry on the steel heavy reinforced door. So I think it was an offset. Yeah, it was an offset LZ. So we walk in, 5-6 kilometers or whatever, under the cover of darkness, super quiet, stealthily, and then we get close to the compound. So now it's go time. Heart rates, through the roof. First, dynamic direct action mission with the unit. So I'm super excited, and I was in the number 1 position leading up to the door. So breacher goes forward and puts up his charge, and then we get the command, boom. But prior to that, funny story, then I'll lead back to the breach. So we're tiptoeing through the side of this compound. So there's a guy in front of me who's going to be the front cover. There's the breacher. They see this pail, so the steel pail that happens to be on a bit of an embankment. So we're walking along this compound wall, and then there's a bit of a ditch. So you're watching where your feet are going, so you're not making any noise, and clearly trying to maintain your balance. So these two guys see this pail. They clearly avoid it and walk around it, and I didn't pick up on that, and my foot kicks this thing, accidentally, of course, and then down this embankment. So it was like ding dong, ding 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 dong, and you can imagine a steel pail. It projects noise louder than you think, especially when it's the dead of darkness. So we all stop because we're right by the door. We're right by the breach. So we all stop, and my team leader behind me at the time, cool as cucumber, wicked dude, kind of whispers in my ear, "Way to go, you fucking idiot." I'm like, I can't believe it just happened. So we're doing a bit of a pregnant pause, kind of letting it soak for a second, and then it's still quiet, so off we go. So breach is placed, fire in the hole, boom. And as number 1, I go in, and it's dust, it's dirty, it's smoky, and with the MBGs, it's tough to see. So trying to navigate the entry, and the way that the door kind of got hung up, so one of the hinges were still intact, so the door's kind of like inward, and there's a small enough space that I can see. So as I kind of duck under this door to get through it, my MBGs get caught on the door, and they get knocked off. So my MBGs are knocked off my mount and dangling off the bungees. So as I'm entering now, I don't see shit. It's pitch black. It's dusty. It's smoky. And the rest of the team is flooding in and doing what they need to do. And I kind of pulled myself out, MBG's down, and I'm trying to sort it out. And it felt like an eternity. It was probably like 10 seconds by the time I got them remounted and then visually back up and up online. But at that point, that whole initial footprint was completely saturated by our guys. And now I'm trying to figure out, where is everybody, and, where's my area of responsibility? And because we kind of got disjointed for a brief moment, that was my first exposure. That was my first official operation with the unit. And debrief points afterwards, holy moly, there was a list of stuff that I highlighted to improve upon. But like I said, I had a great team leader, great team, and nothing happened. We ended up getting the 2 guys that we wanted. No shots fired. Nobody got hurt. So it was a success. However, that could have gone a little bit differently, and luckily it worked out in our behalf. So that was my first and very memorable operation with the organization.